So these are the best knives of 2022 as voted by the people. Best one is in my pocket right now. You guys picked really great this year. Let's talk knives. Welcome to Blade HQ, everybody. Today, we are near the end of 2022.
We are indeed.
It's been a good year, my friend. Somebody's got to bust out like Yapple juice or something.
What?
Oh, he didn't. He wasn't here for that video, but it was a great one. Go check out our giant mouse video. But this is one of our favorite videos to do. This is my first time getting to do it, and I'm very excited. This is the best knives of 2022. You excited?
I am indeed. I'm looking forward to going through the list.
Great. Now, I hear what you're saying right now. That's a pretty arbitrary list, George. You can't have that. Who says it's the best? The answer is you said it's the best. These knives are by sales data. The knives you see on this table, you guys voted for with your dollars this year, and I think you made some pretty excellent choices.
I'd say so, especially that one.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one in a minute. But number one is in my pocket right now. I actually have my personal one in my pocket. I picked it up because it's awesome. Anyway, first knife on the table is one of your favorites, I know it.
Para 2, actually, that's one of the first ones I was ever gifted as a kid. Like high school, I got one of these and have loved it since.
Who gave you a Para 2 in high school?
My mom. My mom.
Dude, your mom is a legend.
My mom! I'm a huge fan. I actually have this exact one. I changed the pocket clip orientation, but the S30V one, I've had it forever. Oh, sorry, this one's S45VN. I have the S30V one.
Yeah, that was a new update. I think last year they moved all of their base models up to S45VN.
That's a nice upgrade.
And I was so happy. And like, I gotta tell you, that's the Spyderco way. They do it right the first time, and then they do it better the next time.
I mean, they haven't changed the PM2 since, so I mean, very fair.
I guess they call it
improvement, I guess.
Yeah, they call it constant quality improvement, CQI. The new one for this year was, I think, a perfect illustration of that. This one's the Cruwear and Micarta one. Sometimes with Micarta, if you have a nested liner like you do on that one, meaning, let me see if we can get this in B-roll maybe. But the liner is steel and then it is set inside the handle. But with this one, it's not. You can see the liner is just exposed. And that's because sometimes with micarta, even though it's nice and grippy and tacky and it's a wonderful handle material, with adjusting humidity levels or temperatures, or you just get it wet or carry it for a while, it might start to warp just a little bit. And sometimes that can like snag your liner and make it so your lock won't actuate.
Yeah, that's not a good way to be.
Not at all, but Spyderco knows that because Spyderco does it right the first time. So they made this, but instead of the nested liners, they have these all the way out, making sure your micarta can't warp. And then they have this full extended area so that your lock will always actuate. So you're getting everything you wanted. The micarta Para 2 with the Cruwear. Can we talk about Cruwear for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna ask you about it in a second. Actually, I'm not. He's the steel guy.
So long story short about Cruwear, crazy tough, really good edge retention, but it's a carbon steel. And you don't see it a whole lot. It's coming into a bit more popularity now. I think Benchmade just came out with a few knives with it. But Spyderco did some sprint runs with it a little while ago, and they sold out fast because people love Cruwear. And Spyderco is always trying new things. They're always trying new steels like CPM M4. That was, in some ways, it could be argued that it was very much popularized by Spyderco. They made this as an inline SKU. This is not a sprint run. You can get this now, and you can get it for the foreseeable future because
anytime you want, you can just grab one.
Yep, they know we love it.
I kind of want one, actually.
I know, I do too. I think that's gonna be my Para 2, my first one.
I like that you said it wasn't stainless, right? So like kind of like the micarta and the steel are gonna age over time and be more
it'll
of your
look
own.
so good.
Oh man.
Imagine like putting that in like a leather pouch on your hip.
That would look good.
It'd be great. And that's, I mean, the last thing I'm gonna say about Spyderco. Looking good, guys. These knives just are so beautiful.
They look good. They also just feel great. They always have felt great. Like the ergos on Spydercos are always fantastic. I kind of stopped carrying mine because it's just a little too wide for me in my pocket, just especially the Spyderco hole on it. But anytime I have gone like hiking or something like that and I wanted to take something with me, like I've always taken my Para 2. It's really comfortable. If I needed it for whatever reason to go like do some bushcraft in the woods, I'm not really too concerned about it failing on me. It's comfortable. The compression lock is really strong.
Eric Glesser, we love you. Thank you for making an awesome knife. So next up is actually the best-selling brand new knife. So this is the new SKU of the year, and this one really killed it.
That one is a ton of fun to flip. I like that one a lot.
Like, it just is such a smooth action. It's like drop shutty to the point that you want to like test how drop shutty it is. But like, you don't get actions on this. Yeah, it's on bearings.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Button lock flipper.
Yeah, this thing, it feels great. It's like a great thickness for the hand. So when you're holding it, like it's not curvy like the PM2 is, but the lines on it, and like when you're flipping, you don't even have to move your hand when you're flipping it. You can pop it open and then push the button, close it. You don't have to even move your hand all that much. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I really like these grooves in it. Super flicky. Like it's a fidget king, but at the same time, like when I think fidgety knife, I think like, like small 3-inch drop point. But this thing has got about like a 3.5 inch. Just by no means huge, but it is definitely a bigger knife. So
It's
if you
more
got
honky chonk than I'm used to.
yeah, definitely a honky chonker. The thing with this guy is it looks clean and simple like the knives that you've come to love. Like what they call the king of clean and simple is the bug out. It is just a simple drop point, a nice action, whatever. But this one is just as clean and simple as the bug out, but it's bigger.
And cheaper by a significant amount.
Yeah, and Nitro V steel too, and I'm into that.
You're gonna have to tell me about that one because steel.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, my metallurgist friends in the comments. I usually put it in the same class as like AEBL and 14C28N. So a good, solid, tough stainless steel that takes a nice fine grain structure and a solid edge retention as well. All right, tell us about the next knife on the table, Theo.
This is a meme. This is the Boker Mermaid. You've got everything that you could ever need. You got a mermaid up top, a nice recurve blade, plenty of belly in it when you're slicing through whatever you're doing for your
And a
EDC test.
flipper.
Oh yeah, a flipper on that thing. That is divine.
You might be thinking that we made this up, that this is somehow actually not a bestseller. You would be surprised. I wish I could show you all the data. Like, this thing moves. You guys buy a lot of them. Yeah, we made a mermaid coin that matches this very nicely. Like, I mean, it's just a Boker Mermaid. It's got a mermaid on it. I mean, the handle is like weirdly ergonomic too.
It is actually genuinely comfortable. It's kind of surprising.
Yeah, it's a tip down pocket clip, and we know how Theo feels about that.
Not good.
Anyway, next up, Benchmade. I feel like we're kind of mentioning Benchmade along the way, but here we have an exclusive, the 940 Osborne.
I'm a huge fan of Osborne designs, the 940 especially. I like this a lot. I've got like just the plain Jane green aluminum one. I have heavily considered buying one of these myself and contributing to the numbers. Its action is great. Everybody knows that if you've got a 940. And it feels especially so with this one since the G10 is so light that like pretty much the only thing you feel is the weight of the blade as you flip it open and closed. Feels great, looks great.
I am too, and I'll tell you my favorite thing about the 940 is sometimes you hold a knife and it just says to you, please just use me. Just take me to work, beat the heck out of me, let's do this. Like, I pick up this thing, and this is a fine knife. It's a great little slicer. Like, this knife makes you smile, but when I hold this knife, it doesn't say, yeah, go
beat on something.
Go beat on something.
crack
Go
open
use me
some-
for a questionable knife task. But the 940 says that. And with that Blade HQ exclusive M4 steel, which is tough as nails, ready for a hard work and all that good stuff, I like it. And I want to go to work with it. And it wants to go to work with me. And that's why I like the 940. And that's another one I need to buy. Okay, so my shopping list now includes a Pair 2 and a 940.
Quintessential.
This is getting,
as they say.
Yeah, I guess they are both quintessential. Speaking of quintessential, it doesn't get much more quintessential than the next one. I suspect that one of the reasons this sold so well has something to do with sprinkles and pink.
I think you might be onto something, but should we save that for later?
What do you think?
I think that the double XL one is, it's neat. I like the handle shape of this one actually. I really like this one compared to the regular. If I could get the regular in this handle shape, I would prefer it. The action on these is pretty fun. You can get a good automatic for fairly cheap. You want D2 on those ones. Is that the same on this as well?
Yeah, I think they're all standard D2 now. So what I will say, you said you don't care for the grooves. I actually am a groove man here. So I have a bit thicker fingers than you, and they fit just perfectly right in those grooves.
I think that's very, I think they kind of like bump a little weird in my, I'm gonna grab the other one here, but they don't necessarily fit great for my hands for whatever reason, but that's just my personal hands.
Yeah, but like the mini Kalashnikov, my fingers are a little too chonky for that one.
I think you get like 3 fingers on that one.
Yeah, but so if I have smaller hands, I'm gonna go with the mini. But if I have bigger hands, and I don't think anybody's gonna have hands quite big enough to fill out grooves like that on this, which is why I think they went with the sort of the cleaner thing there, so that way anyone's hands can fit there. Also, who doesn't want a 5-inch bladed automatic?
It's like a pocket sword. It's kind of like if you're the same person who would carry like a Cold Steel Espada XL.
Yeah, but this is automatic. Who doesn't love that?
They're also really fun too. Like you can open these with one hand. Like I feel like a lot of automatics, they're too hard to close with one hand. These ones.
The big thing that I think is the major selling feature of the Kalashnikovs is they come in every single color, they're fairly affordable, so they're collectible. So
They have
I
like
imagine,
that like World War II plane with like the shark on the blade. I kind of
Yeah,
like
the
that one a lot.
Warrock. That one's pretty
I
sweet.
considered getting one of those actually.
I only have one Kalashnikov, and I have loved it dearly. It's pretty much lost most of its finish. I've sharpened it down quite a bit. I've used that thing to death, and it's still ticking. It's ready for more, but I feel like I have the Imperial white one, the white with the black blade. I don't know which guy had the blue lightsaber.
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
Hello there.
Kalashnikov collection. I feel like there's a hashtag there.
There's gotta
We'll
be.
see. We'll
Yeah.
talk more. Hashtag Kalashnikov.
You're onto something. Honky Chonkers Kalashnikov collection.
Okay, so we've had folders, we've had autos. Next up, butterfly.
I like these, the Lucha, right? Like we got the Kershaw Lucha, now they've got a bunch of different colored ones. They have a really fancy one that's like 20 CV and carbon fiber and titanium. That one's really nice.
And they just came out with the moon salts too. But yeah, this one has sold like hotcakes. So of all the butterfly knives that we have, like we just put out a video with Tomas a little while ago of beginner butterfly knives. And a lot of those were really awesome, but this one is a standout seller. I know that you have a squid trainer on your desk, so I'm going to assume that you're a bally flipper. Tell me why.
I'm not a live blade bally flipper. I wrapped over my knuckles one time and I taped the blade after that and haven't used a live blade since. I think they're fun. Like I'm not gonna try to do any tricks with this on the table. I think if I was going to go for a live blade, I probably would go for one of these. I like the blade shape is with a little bit of flair, so they're kind of like the almost harpoonish Tonto, like reverse Tonto situation this one's got. I think it's sick.
And I've seen this become a bit of a modding platform too.
I can see that.
Like Dallas, who used to be on YouTube more, he's in our buying team now. He has a Lucha on his desk and I see it and I'm so jealous. He's got the Flytanium scales on it and he puts skiff bearings. That thing can run with the big dogs. It is such a good knife. And I might have to build me one. Okay, so the shopping list, 1, 2, 3. This one's been talked a lot about in the last few months.
Yeah, we had a lot of discussion with this one. We've put it on sale a few times, and internally in the office, we're trying to figure out how to call, like what to call it. We were calling it the Piet before, and people in the comments were not liking that very much.
In fact, there's this guy who, so Theo speaks some German, and this guy wrote something in German, and Theo just busts up laughing. I'm like, what? He says, I hate it when Americans try to say German words. My name's George Muehlstein, and I'm saying that wrong too. I know it's supposed to be like Georg Muehlstein, but oh well. What are you gonna do? I'm American.
But we couldn't figure out how to say it correctly, so I reached out to CRKT to ask them, and they were like, yeah, actually it's pronounced Piet. Phonetically, it was like P-E-A-E-T. So that's what they say. So Piet is how I'm gonna pronounce it from now on.
All right, I'm in.
We've talked about this one before. I'm a fan of it. Nice and light, small. It's got that nice pop of blue in the back, so it's not just a plain black and silver kind of situation. Deep carry pocket clip.
I think the real reason it's so popular though, $16.
Yeah, yeah, nice and inexpensive.
Nice and inexpensive. A great first knife, a great loaner knife. I mean, I've heard too many horror stories.
Try this thing with your knife real quick.
Like, or on Reddit, my favorite is when you see some like beautiful like Koenig semi-custom whatever, and it has a broken tip. This is what happened when I lent my coworker my knife. I'm like, it's a crime against humanity. But this one, I'd loan this one out because $16 and I can replace it.
I would lose that one and be okay with it. I mean, I wouldn't really be okay with it, but like, it wouldn't hurt as bad as losing anything else on the table.
All right, so before I tell you the last one, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Go for it.
If you were the only customer at Blade HQ, what would be the knife of the year?
Out of these, I'd say probably the 940. I'm a huge fan of it. I carry it all the time, and that version of it,
I'd be torn between 940 and Crewwear Para-2.
That is very nice too. If they did a Crewwear version of the 940,
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about
I need it.
There is the Adamas, but that one isn't quite as slimmy Jimmy.
Yeah, the Adamas, it's a Shane Cybert, isn't it? So that thing's huge.
Yeah, it's definitely a honky chonker, but it does have Crewwear. But this is more of the slimmy Jimmy, your style.
Yeah.
Last knife on the table, it's actually in my pocket, is Civivi Elementum. Specifically this one.
I can see why. You guys have been loving these things. They flip great, they look ridiculous, but like,
it's the right kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, this is one of those things that's like, it's silly, but it's also useful. So you could take this out in public and not feel uncomfortable about it. I feel like sometimes if I were somebody who was carrying one of these per se, this is huge. Imagine pulling this out in the office that's not Blade HQ, anywhere. Like, oh, I gotta go to the post office and open up my mail. Not that thing. But with this.
But this one does come in a Desert Warrior though. So that one's post office approved.
That's true, that's true. It's just so silly that it's like, even if you're not a knife person or if you're kind of intimidated by knives or whatever it may be, this is just so silly that you're gonna like it. You're like, oh, this is a cool piece and somebody's gonna ask you about it. I imagine that people who have bought these and carried them get asked all the time about it.
What is that thing? Yeah, I will tell you this though, right now. Yeah, I put the little lanyard on there. So this knife has a place of honor that no other knife in my collection has. And that is, this is the only knife that I've brought home and my wife was jealous of it. Only one. So she was actually saying, I want a Desert Warrior Spyderco Dragonfly. And I told her,
that'd actually be a really cool one too.
It would be really cool. I mean, you can ask for it, but we can't say yes. That's not our decision to make. But that was the #1 knife of the year. The Civivi Elementum, specifically the Desert Warrior version, with all of its magnificent colors, pops, and intrigue. Great year though. Great choice,
I think so.
everybody.
I think everything I've seen that's like new this year is just blown it out of the water for the most part.
We got SHOT Show in a few weeks, and we've got Blade Show in a few months. And next year, we've got a whole lot of new knives to talk about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to everything that we can bring back.
I am too. If this year's patterns are indicative of the future, it is a great, magnificent time to be a part of the knife community.
I'm curious what people picked up from like, at least from like the table or just in general, like what their weight, if you could pick your own list. For me, it would probably be the 940, but then I don't know actually after that. I haven't really been buying anything, but I'm curious what people's are. Is it on the table? Is it off the table? Something different, something better? You have some customs that are your favorite? Some really low-end budget ones that are your favorite? What do you have?
If there's a knife that isn't on this list that you wish was, tell us which one it is, because we are always looking for knives that are a little off the beaten path that we wish were more popular than they are. So tell us about that. And with that, it's been a great year, everybody. We love you from Blade HQ. Make a resolution, keep it 3 days and get rid of it, and we'll see y'all at SHOT. We'll see you on the next time.
Take care.